Uh-oh. What's happening?
You press play.
Uh-oh.
Good evening, District 40. Toastmasters, how are y'all doing today? Welcome to our June podcast episode. My name is Althea Latang, and Michael, Bertina, and Scott welcome you to the last episode for our current program year. How is everyone doing today?
Absolutely fabulous.
Yes. What a wonderful
Great.
year we've had.
We've had an exciting year. We've had a jam-packed year, and I cannot believe we're already at the end of it. And while I'm excited that we're at the end of the year, I'm also sad too. Oh, I see laughing faces. I'm sad too because I've enjoyed working with the three of you this year, and you're going to be leaving me. Sad.
Aw.
I
We won't
know.
be far away.
I know, but I'll save all the sappy stuff for later. How is everyone doing, Scott? How have you been?
Well, things are just fantastic up here in Northwest Cbus. It's a beautiful evening. The sun's out. We had some rain showers today, which my garden loves. It's just been so sad watching how much heat and humidity just sucked the life out of my garden. So I was happy to get some rain today.
Yes, I agree. What about you, Bertina? How have things been with you?
They've been fabulous. Very good. Very good. I'm just enjoying my summer, waiting for my vacation. I can't wait.
Nice. Hopefully you're going someplace fun and exciting.
I am going to the US Open.
Oh, cool.
I am excited.
Where is that at?
In New Flushing, New York.
Awesome. Well, enjoy that.
Yes, thank you.
All right, Michael, how about you? How have you been?
Being great. I just got back from vacation. So we just came back from Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, about 2 hours ago. Well, about 3 hours ago now.
Wow.
It's a great vacation. We did a lot of rides, roller coasters, did a lot of go-karting. My boys and I had fun with go-karts and bumper cars. Those always fun. See, we also did a Ninja Warrior course. So that was
Awesome.
it was fun, but I definitely gained a lot of respect for the people who actually do that stuff because it was tough.
Sure. Yeah.
It was fun.
That's awesome. Well, with all of our podcast episodes, we love to share with you our mission. And the mission of our podcast is to educate and to entertain our listeners and viewers by providing a positive and supportive experience to help our listeners and viewers develop stronger communication and leadership skills. So that's why we're here. And with that, I'd like to also introduce the word of the day. And the word of the day is gregarious. Gregarious, the definition for that word is instinctively or temperamentally seeking and enjoying the company of others. And an example of using the word gregarious in a sentence, joining Toastmasters can help you become more gregarious as it provides ample opportunities for you to practice public speaking and to engage with like-minded individuals. So anyone that's speaking this evening, please try to utilize the word of the day. Yes, indeed.
Gregarious.
Right. Yes, gregarious. Yes. I'm not keeping count, so I'm going to trust you all to keep count of the number of times you've used the
That's good.
of the day. All right. Well, we have an exciting episode this evening. We have a pretty special guest with us today. And I want to take the opportunity to read that individual's bio. So if you just give me a moment here. All right. Where did my screen go? Gotta love technology, y'all. All right.
You definitely love technology since you're signing on to be the podcast master again.
I know it. I must love the I do.
Yes,
I really enjoy the podcast. It's really helped me step outside of my comfort zone. I know a lot of people probably wouldn't believe that I am by nature an introvert. So I'm really quiet and shy. And when I'm out in the open, it takes a lot of energy out of me to be, the life of the party. I'd rather just kind of hide behind closed doors. So this has really challenged me to step outside of my comfort zone. So I'm glad I had you all to be on this journey with me this year.
Awesome. That's what it's all about. Great to hear.
Indeed.
That gets you being gregarious.
Yes, for
Yeah,
sure.
she's definitely more gregarious.
Yes, thank you guys. All right, let me introduce to you all our special guest for this month. Renee Mitchell has been a member of Toastmasters since 2018 as a part of the S&P Global Bar Setters Club in Charlottesville, Virginia. She joined the Mason Speech Weavers Toastmasters Club in April 2020, following her husband's job relocation to Mason, Ohio. She is also a charter member of the Syntoast 2.0 Club in Mason, Ohio. Renee received her Competent Communicator Award in January 2019 and has held multiple club officer positions, including president, VP of membership, and VP of public relations. Renee and her husband, John, are the proud parents of a 14-year-old daughter, Madison, who keeps them very busy and on their toes. And also, Renee will be our 2024-2025 Club Growth Director. So with that, please join me in welcoming to our podcast episode this evening, Miss Renee Mitchell.
Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor for sure.
Yay, Renee. I'm so happy that you're here with us this evening.
Competent communicator. I haven't heard that term in a while. How about you?
I know. I'm like, that's aging me, isn't it?
It does. It seems like ancient times.
It does. Yeah. Yeah. So Renee, you joined Toastmasters in 2018. What inspired you to seek membership in the organization?
So it's actually a very interesting story. For any of you that are in IT, you know that typically the IT people sit in the basement of a building where all the server rooms are. It's really cold down there. And I wanted to really get to meet some other people in the company that I worked for. I worked for S&P Global. It's a financial company. And I felt like I'm just sitting around a bunch of people that just do IT, don't really talk much to each other. And so I wanted to branch out and meet other people. So I joined the Toastmasters Club there, and it was a closed club at the time. And we met on the third floor in this beautiful conference room with windows and everything. It was great. But the people were amazing and they were wonderful. I will be honest, I didn't think I needed any help with public speaking. I served 20 years in the military. I gave tons of briefings. I thought I am good at this until I gave my icebreaker. And they give you that feedback and they tell you what you need to improve upon. And I found out I say so a lot. They told me I must have said it like 15 times. And I thought, oh my gosh, I can't believe I have all these filler words. And so was my favorite one, apparently. That was when I realized, oh my gosh, if I need Toastmasters, there's tons of us out there that need Toastmasters. And I was hooked. Although it's interesting, I had no idea. If you had told me back then that I would ever be a part of the trio, I would have told you you're crazy. I had no idea that there were all these levels that you could obtain, to be a leader in. And that has been so exciting. I honestly think that, sometimes things happen for a reason. I really feel like, we were put here for a reason, and I found the club that I found for a reason. It's helped me really expand my leadership in terms of learning and also, doing type thing. I'm just very grateful for all the clubs that I've been a part of, the people I've gotten to meet. I never would have thought I've been able to really take on such an important role in the district. And I'm super pumped up, fired up, nervous, but very excited to be a part of the trio this year.
That's awesome. Yeah. I'll kick things over to Michael. Do you have a question for Renee?
Sure, absolutely. So Renee is actually part of my club. So I've had opportunity to witness Renee do some amazing things, especially in the area of leadership.
Yeah.
So Renee, I want to talk a little bit about your leadership journey in Toastmasters. So obviously, since you joined in 2018, you've ascended through various levels, club level, the district, and so forth now. What key lessons have you learned about leadership in this organization that you feel are essential for your success in any leadership role?
I think that's a really great question. One of the things I learned in being part of the conference committee, the annual conference committee with Shirley Stallworth and Dr. Crystal Walker, was being a better follower. I am very much the kind of type A personality. I just want to do everything myself because I think I know how to do it best. Well, I know how to do it my way, not necessarily the best way. And one of the things I learned, and what I think all leaders need to learn how to do, is to be able to step back and let other people take lead, delegate things and let them run with it. They may not do it how you want it done, and that is totally okay. That is one of the things that I've struggled with as a leader. I think when I tell people or ask people to do something, I'm expecting them to do it the way I would do it, and that's the best way. But that's not always the best way. That's one of the things I've learned is people will have different ways of doing it. Sometimes it won't be as good, but sometimes they'll completely surprise you and you're thinking, oh my gosh, that's better than I ever would have done it. And that's one of the things I think that as leaders we need to do is to give those opportunities to people and really let them run with it. And that's one of the things that I'm really trying to do as club growth. I've told people that I want them to look at us as kind of the Home Depot, that we're going to give them the tools, but we want them to build the clubs. I'm not going to come and tell you how you need to build it and be successful. I want you to show me how you use the tools that we give you and you build it and let it be an amazing club, organization, that type of thing.
Thank you. So speaking of club growth director, what are some of your primary goals for this coming up year?
One of the primary goals is to help those clubs that are in trouble. I know that there are clubs that are struggling with membership. I would like to be able to provide them resources in order to help build up their membership. There are so many great ideas out there that I've learned from other people in other clubs, and I would love to be able to share that wealth of knowledge with others. I'm sure that there are things that we haven't even thought of that we could try to implement. The other thing I would like to do is to reach out, and this, I guess this is kind of a secret, so you guys will probably be the first ones to know. I'm in the process now of reaching out to clubs that closed during COVID to find out if there's any interest in restarting. A few of them have reached out and said, well, we actually merged with another club, so we're okay. And I'm like, sure, no problem. But there's a few that I think there's actually a possibility of maybe restarting. I've had a couple of gals out in the eastern part of the state of Ohio tell me, I want to start a club because there's no club in my area, like not for 100 miles. Wow. And I look back in the history and realize there were clubs there. They're just not there anymore. And when you go back in the history and you look at when they fell off, it was around COVID. And a lot of them, it was because either they couldn't meet in person anymore and didn't have the technology to meet virtually, or they decided, I don't want to do that. If I can't be around people, I don't want to be in a club. And maybe it's kind of the out of sight, out of mind. You get out of the habit of doing something and then you forget what you had. And I wonder how many of those people, if we said, hey, there's some interest in your area to restart a club, would you be willing to do it? And I'm willing to bet that we're going to be able to reignite some life into those areas where when you look on the map of, find a club, there's nothing there. I would love to see us restart some of those clubs and really broaden District 40.
Awesome. Thank you. And with that, I'll pass it over to Bertina.
Well, thank you, Michael. And welcome, Renee. What a way to close out the year as our final. It was a pleasure to work with you on the district conference this year. Mm-hmm. And speaking of leadership, let's just stay on that tip because that's kind of going to go into what I'm going to talk about. But how do you handle difficult conversations as a leader that you have to have?
That is a good question. I would say in my younger years, not very well. I tend to be a little bit emotional and I would get angry. And frustrated because you can't figure out why somebody can't understand what they're doing wrong. Now, when I have those conversations, I try to do kind of the sandwich method, and I'm sure people have heard about, where you say something positive about them, and then you kind of slip in the, here's an area that you can improve, and you end with the positive. My husband has a saying that people don't come to work to do a bad job. I don't think we wake up in the morning and think, how can I possibly go to work and do the worst job ever? People legitimately try to do a good job. They don't always succeed. But when you have to sit down and tell somebody, look, you are just not performing at the level I know you can perform at. I know there's more in you, and here are some areas where I think you can improve. And I think if you couch it that way, it comes across a little bit better. Now, granted, that doesn't always work. I had a young lady I tried so hard to mentor, and she just didn't believe she was doing anything wrong. I actually got her on a call with another person, and the other person, because the other person didn't believe me that I was trying so hard to mentor this gal. And after that call, she's like, oh my gosh, you gave her every opportunity and she just wasn't willing to take it. You're going to run into those people. And I think at that point, sometimes you have to just kind of sever the ties and say, look, I tried everything I could. That didn't work. Maybe I'm not the right leader or the right person to help you get better. But I feel that everybody has some redeeming qualities, things that they are good at, and then there's things that they struggle with. And I think sometimes we don't tell people enough on where they can grow. I made that conversation, or I made that comment during the training this past weekend. Sometimes we will give evaluations to people and we're afraid to tell them the honest to God truth on what they could improve upon because we don't want to hurt their feelings or have them never give a speech again. But without that constructive feedback, they don't know where they're falling short. And I use the example of they may go to work and give a speech and their boss may say, that wasn't very good. And the person may say, but my Toastmasters Club says I'm doing amazing. And then you realize you're not helping them, that you're actually letting them continue to do bad habits, and that is not helping them get better. Like me saying so all the time. If they had not told me that, I would never have realized I did that. But once you know what you're not good at, and it gives you a way to get better. I know that was a very long answer to your question, but I think telling people something positive about them, telling them that you know that they're better than that and this is where they can improve, and being willing to help them improve in those areas, I think makes those difficult conversations a little bit more palatable to the person on the receiving end.
Excellent. I totally agree. Speaking of the conference, what was the highlight of the conference for you?
I have to say, getting voted as club growth director, I sweated that thing out so much. I was so nervous because Jung Jing, who also went up against me, is an incredible Toastmaster. And when he put out all the awards and everything he had won, I thought, oh my gosh, I can't stand up to this guy. I mean, he has done way more than I have done so far. But I really tried to focus on what my strengths were and what I wanted to do, letting people know, hey, when I take this job, there's going to be action. There are going to be things that we are going to do to further what Tracy Baker, as the current club growth director, has already done. I want to take the work that he has done and continue to move it forward. So when they announced that I won, it was like, oh, it was like a relief. And then it was excitement. And then it was like, oh my gosh, what did I get myself into? But all of those emotions all happened in about 30 seconds. But now that we are actually getting ready to get started, I'm super excited about the possibilities for this year. But that was the highlight, is getting voted in as club growth director.
Well, excellent. And congratulations once again. And look forward to hearing about all the things that you're going to do. It has been a pleasure to work with you. And now I'm going to pass it over to Scott.
Thank you, Bertina, and welcome, Renee. It's great to meet you. I have to tell you that I love the gregarious nature of your speaking when you talk about your vision and how excited you are for your new position. It gets me excited. I'm over here, my juices are flowing too. And along with the leadership questions that have come to the point here, leadership is always one of my favorite aspects of the Toastmasters experience. So I'm interested to know, in the 5 years you've been involved with Toastmasters, what has been the leadership position that you served in that has been the most rewarding, and why was that so rewarding for you?
I would have to say club president is probably the most rewarding because I like being more, I guess, at the ground level. I had been an area director for 3 years. And like I had mentioned earlier, I like clubs to kind of do their own thing. You know, it's your club, you run it how you want. Let me know when you need help. But when you're the club president, you are part of that club and you get to do a lot of different things. The thing I'm most excited about this year is we have two officers that are pretty brand new to being officers within our club, and the opportunity to kind of mentor them because both of them are in roles that I've done in the past, VP of membership and VP of public relations. And then my husband is going to be vice president of education. He was the president this past year. But those three offices, having people who are new to that role and being able to help them out and see them grow, because I know they're going to grow. And that's why as a president, it's more of being able to kind of oversee the work that they're going to do and help them grow and realize that they can do it. So many times when you approach somebody to take on an office, they think, I can't be the VP of membership. And I'm thinking, yes, you can. I would never have asked you if I thought there was any chance you were going to fail. So having people know that you have faith in them and letting them know, I know you can do this. I will be here to support you. It's not like we're giving you the manual and you're out on your own.
Mhm.
I'm going to be here to support you. And as the president of the club, I'm definitely going to be here. I can be your backup when you need it. I can answer any questions. I can partner with you. If you're afraid to talk to somebody about Toastmasters by yourself, I can be there to help you too. So president to me has always been the most fun position because you kind of get to touch a little bit of everything, but more importantly, you get to watch people grow in the positions that are right below that level at the club level. I love working at the club level because that's kind of where all the work happens.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree. And I think an unsung hero in the Toastmasters experience is the mentoring capabilities that are involved in these positions once you get into a leadership role.
Yeah.
It really is something that when I first got involved with Toastmasters, I was all about, I want to do speeches and I want to get better speaking. And then year after year, I was finding myself in a different leadership role. And I'm like, wait a minute, this is the best part. This is the fun part. This is the most challenging part for sure.
Right.
So it's great to hear you say that. Switching gears here, the other reason that we get involved with Toastmasters is speaking. And we mentioned your competent communicator manual that you got through earlier. What was your favorite speech that you did in those first 10 speeches? And why was it so rewarding of an experience for you to give that speech?
That's an interesting question. I would have to go to the very last speech, and now I'm trying to even remember what it was called, but I do remember it was more about telling a story through pictures. Like I would throw a picture up on the slide, and I used slides back then, and it was just a picture with no words on it. And then to tell the story that went along with it. And I used pictures from different parts of my life. And what was really fun about that meeting is the people that worked in the department that I was in actually came to watch me give that speech. They were not Toastmaster members, but they came to that meeting. And after the speech was over, everybody applauds and everything. But it's kind of special when non-Toastmasters are there to support you and applaud. And then they gave me a little gift and we had a picture. Like they made a big deal about it. I think they recognized that was my last speech in the book. And it was I felt like a capstone speech. You take everything that you've learned throughout that manual, how to use vocal variety, how to use, technology, how to speak with no notes. Because I remember my icebreaker. I had my notes, and I know Michael tells his story about his icebreaker where he's standing shaking. That was me. And it was just so cool to get to the end and realize, you know what? I didn't need notes. I used technology. I used vocal variety, that kind of thing. That was probably my favorite speech. But more than importantly is just having the support of my coworkers there who were non-Toastmasters, but then also having my entire Toastmaster club there to support me. So that was the best, most fun speech that I had given in my Toastmasters career.
What was that final project called? Does anybody remember in the CC manual? My goodness, I did enough
sure
of them.
don't.
You think I'd have it known by heart?
No, I've only been a part of the pathways, never the.
Same.
I mean, I used to do a CC pretty much every year, so we would get credit for one for our DCP points.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna turn it back over to Althea. Thank you for your candid answers there, Renee.
You're welcome.
Renee, you've been such a gracious guest, and I'm so happy that you decided to be on the pod and to share with the listeners and viewers your vision for next year. And one of the things that you said was that you want your club growth year to be like a Home Depot.
Yeah.
We give you the tools, you build it.
Right.
And if that's your slogan, I'm loving it. I'm loving it. But with that, about you giving tools and allowing people the ability to build, is there a leadership book or leadership quote that you use to inspire you or to inspire others in the realm of leadership?
It's very interesting you say that because I used it on the bottom of my little flyer that I had when I was running for Club Growth Director, that life begins at the end of your comfort zone. I remember when Tracy asked me to be his assistant a year ago. Actually, it's probably more than a year ago. And I said, sure, I'll be your assistant. And then about a month later, he's like, I'm grooming you to be the next Club Growth Director. I'm like, no, thank you. I'm like, I will be your assistant. I am not being Club Growth Director. I don't want anything to do with the trio and so forth. And about 6 months into it, I remember talking to my husband. I'm thinking, I told him, I said, I think I want to do it after all. I saw how much fun it was, and seeing these new clubs grow and seeing people who had never been exposed to Toastmasters get up, give speeches, laugh through table topics. That was super rewarding. And I loved to be a part of that. I did a charter ceremony for the Cincinnati Nature Club, and it was amazing. They had all these people there. Their club was, started with 20. They had some leaders that came in. We gave them their little certificates. It's in a beautiful location. After that ceremony, and we had a picture taken of all of us, I thought that's really what it's all about, is reaching out to people who have never been exposed to Toastmasters, who just want to get better. They want to get better at communicating. They want the opportunity to show that they have leadership skills, or if they don't, how do they build them in an environment that is non-threatening, I say. There was, I can't remember who it was that said it once, but that, and I'm sure it's been said a bunch of times, that Toastmasters is your laboratory. It's where you try things out and see what works and what doesn't work. There's been speeches and things that I've done, I'm sure, that were a dud. And I thought, okay, well, I just won't ever do that again. But there's no consequences to it.
Yeah.
It's not like you lose your job. It's not like they kick you out of the club or whatever. It's an opportunity to practice things and find out what works, what doesn't work. So I don't know if I answered your question, but that is what I'm most excited about with club growth and what I really want to see happen this year in terms of leadership and just having people realize what they can do and go and do it.
Yes, absolutely. Well, I think that was the perfect way to end this segment, Renee.
Thank you so much.
Yes, we are looking forward to a dynamic year with you being Club Growth, and whatever we can do to support you in that endeavor, we're here for that. So again, congratulations on being our next Club Growth Director, and we look forward to seeing a lot from you and your team.
Great, thank you.
Althea, before we let Renee go, yes. Michael found the name of the project. Project number 10 from the Confident Communicator Manual was Inspire Your Audience.
There you go.
That you did, Renee.
Power of Google, right?
There you go.
I look back on the Toastmasters website. I completed 5 Confident Communicators in my education history.
Wow.
Wow. That's impressive.
Well, if anybody should have known that, I should have known it. I'm gonna have to go back and look at my topics now. I'm like, what did I do for those last speeches? I know I saved a majority of them, saved the outline.
You were expiring through all 10 of them, Scott. So
there you go.
Gregarious and everything he was doing.
Yes, he was very gregarious. Absolutely. Again, thank you so much, Renee, and we hope you have a great evening.
Thank you all so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Welcome, Renee.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Renee.
Look forward to seeing you. Bye.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right, friends. That was Renee Mitchell, our 2024-2025 Club Growth Director. Again, really excited for her Club Growth year and looking forward to great things in our district. So with that, we'll move over to the What We've Learned segment of the episode. I'll turn things over to Bertina for that.
Well, thank you, Althea. I do appreciate that. You know, as I was preparing for this and asking myself, what have I learned? And that was one of the reasons why I asked Renee the question that I did. How do you handle difficult conversations? And I thought about, so what have I learned from Toastmasters? One is to be aware of where I am emotionally before I start, because I believe that sets the tone when you're getting ready to have a difficult conversation, whether it's an employee or maybe it's in your personal life. You want to bring up a topic and you're not just quite sure how to do that. That tone, that eye contact, that body language all reads in to how that person that you're having that conversation with, how are they going to receive that?
Mhm.
All of that comes into play. And I learned that through the different tasks that I've done throughout my pathways. You know, the eye contact that we talk about, that tone of voice. Can I keep myself nice and even and get my point across so that that person is able to receive it and be receptive of what I'm saying? Because from my own personal experience, if I'm sitting there and I'm listening and I'm not getting it because maybe I don't like your body language. Maybe you come across hard or better than, or whatever that may be. So always being aware. And then have been able to find myself in positions where both of us, I say, what about this? What about if we just take 5 minutes? Let's walk away and then come back, regroup so that you can continue to have that conversation. And that is what I have learned. And it's been helping me really in my personal relationship a lot lately. So I put that question to the three of you. How have you handled difficult conversations? What are some of the key things as leaders or within your personal life? What are some of the tools that you use to have those difficult conversations? And let's start with Scott.
That's a great question, Bertina. I think I spent over 10 years of my career in management positions, and I have certainly learned a lot over the years. It's interesting when Renee said earlier, she was just like, we're going to do it my way because I know the best way to get it done. And you know what? A lot of times that worked when it was very task oriented. But most of the time when you were trying to win consensus or be a team builder or whatever, that kind of disciplinarian or directorial management style didn't ultimately work all that well.
Yeah.
So I've definitely learned over the years to be more team inclusive, team oriented, and just, I think servant leadership is what Toastmasters has probably taught me the most, is just putting everybody else, whether it's in your club or whether you're, speaking to an audience or whatever, putting everybody else's needs and wants above your own and focusing on approaching whatever it is you're talking about from that level, from a servant leadership aspect.
Mhm.
Great question. I mean, great answer. Never thought of it in those terms, but you talked about you giving your speeches to the church. And isn't that what our life is all about? Being of service. Wow.
Sure.
I like that. I like that. Althea.
Mhm. So I think for me, approaching a conversation that's difficult with a sense of curiosity, not coming in to be fully solutions-based, but just discovering what the issue or the challenge is and asking questions. A lot of times, difficulty comes because there's just lack of clarity. So if we can come in and have an exploratory conversation instead of it being adversarial. A lot of times, even if it is difficult news that you have to deliver, I think taking that approach can maybe soften the blow a little bit. But then also, to Scott's point, you need to be able to know when it's appropriate to use a more authoritative tone versus a supportive tone. So having curiosity, asking questions, and then knowing how to flex your leadership and communication style to get the message across.
Well, we just have some wonderful, gregarious answers here. Come on, Michael. I saved you for last.
All right.
All right, all right. So thinking about difficult conversations. So one thing I would say is look for opportunities to gain common ground.
Mhm.
So let's say it's a club situation and there's an issue going on, then go back to the common ground for that club, which may be the club goals, or it may just be the individual goals in that club,
Mhm.
right? We're in agreement there, and we can be curious, like Althea mentioned, and have some empathy when communicating with them, knowing that, okay, hey, I may be telling you something that you don't like. However, the end goal, right? We have that common end goal. We're trying to win and we're trying to hit this level as a club. If we
Mhm.
can agree on that, then that person should be more willing to accept that difficult conversation a little bit better.
Yeah.
Because they understand, hey, you're not really targeting them, you're targeting maybe the action or the behavior.
Mhm.
You're looking to correct that.
I love it. Well, that is what I've learned, and I've even picked up some more things. So I back to you, Althea.
All right. Well, I have something a little fun for us this evening. I thought that we could do maybe some Toastmasters trivia. Who's up for a trivia challenge?
All right.
All right, bring it on, bring it on.
All right. I think I got some competitive co-hosts in the group with us this evening. All right. So the first question is going to be multiple choice. All right. So your first question is, what is Ralph Smedley's middle name? Your options are Charles, Chestnut, Camden.
Camden.
Charles.
Charles.
All of you are incorrect. His middle name is Chestnut.
What?
I know.
Ralph Chestnut.
Chestnut, yeah. All right, next question. What date marks the official anniversary of Toastmasters International? We have August 1926, September 1924, October 1924.
I think October 1924.
September 24. I mean, 19, yeah.
I'll
Okay.
take the other one.
The first one, the answer is October 1924.
It has to at least be something in 24.
Yes, because we're celebrating 100 years, right?
I had to go back because I did a trivia when we had the conference
Mhm.
during COVID. I
Okay.
did it. Yes, I think it's October because I said it was in my birthday month.
Oh, okay, cool. Awesome. All right, got a couple more questions for you. In which year did Toastmasters International begin publishing the Toastmaster magazine? Your years are 1924, 1933, or 1952?
33.
52.
33. 1933 is the right answer.
Woohoo!
All right. All right,
And
friend.
you did that so gregariously, that answer, like you
Oh,
know what
yeah.
he was talking about.
All right. What year was the first Toastmasters convention held? 1930, 1946, or 1925?
46.
46.
It was actually held in 1930.
Yeah.
Yes. And any guess where the convention was held?
California.
Where? It's in San Diego, wasn't it?
It was actually in Anaheim, California, which is actually the location of this year's conference or convention.
Mm-hmm.
I got one more question for y'all, then we'll turn things over to Michael. In what year did the Distinguished Toastmaster Award was introduced? Was it in 1969, 1971, or 1970?
69.
71.
The correct answer is 1970.
That's the year I was born.
Yeah, you guys didn't do terribly.
You need to learn more about Toastmasters. Eh?
We sure can. And that's why we have this platform. So for those of you that played along, hopefully you got some of those questions right. But I'll go ahead and turn things over to Michael to share what he's learned.
All right. So something that I want to share with the group is some of you may already know this, but next year when we have our District 40 conference, it's going to be in May. And the two contests we're doing that year, we'll make this a trivia question. So you all know we have an international speech contest, which we have every year. But what is our other contest that we're having?
This year?
In May, next year.
Oh.
It's not going to be evaluation, so you can eliminate that one, right? So,
Table topics.
Table topics?
it's going to be table topics. So something I want to share that I've learned and that I think can be helpful for everyone that is watching and in our district here is to utilize Yuli to help you practice your table topics. So you're able to, if you go to toastmasters.yuli.ai, it's free to use with your Toastmasters membership. And they have a tool here on their practice. They have it for table topics. So you can actually come in here and practice table topic questions on Yuli, and Yuli will give you feedback. It's as simple as coming here. I would turn on my camera. Let me see if I can turn on my other. Let's pick my other camera. See if that works here. All right. So I would turn on my camera. I click start. And Yuli is going to ask me a question, right? So this topic here is, here's why I should get an instant salary raise. So I would have to answer that question. And then Yuli would give you feedback on that answer. So you can use Yuli to practice table topics. And you can have to ask me follow-up questions. What do you say?
What's your answer, Michael?
I'll save my answer for another time.
Gotcha.
All right, so that is my
membership dues right there.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Yeah,
that's cool.
All right, so check out that tool, everybody.
All right, Scott, I think it's over to you, buddy.
All right, thank you. This time of year, it really has me thinking about gardening. A couple of years ago, I started getting into gardening, and my wife kind of thinks I have a little bit of an obsession right now. Because 1 minute we pretty much do a garden tour every day. So we walk around the yard and just check out what's coming up, what's blooming, you know, what's dying, whatever is going on in the yard. And earlier this spring, when we were trying to infuse some color in the yard, every now and then I would stop at the nursery on the way home and plant something without her knowing. And then we'd go around our tour and she'd be like, oh my gosh, again. So it got me thinking about how I have used my Toastmasters experience to become a better gardener. One of the things that Toastmasters has taught me over the 13 years that I've been involved in it is to always be prepared. If you're going to give a presentation, or if you're going to take on a role at a meeting, if you're going to be an officer for your club and be leading others, always be prepared. So one of the things that gardening does is that if you want to have a bumper crop, if you want to have a nice flowery garden, you have to be prepared. You have to start early. You have to start early spring, or even sometimes the fall before or winter, and make sure your seeds are planted during the right time. Make sure that, you know, if things are coming up and you want to split something, make sure you're splitting it at the right time so you can move it around your garden and get the best bang for your buck. Another thing is to be organized. Oh my gosh, if you want your garden to be fruitful, you have to be organized. You have to be on top of when to water, when to feed, when to fertilize, when to prune. So this spring has definitely taught me to be organized and be prepared for what is going on in the garden. Another thing is to use visual aids. And you're all thinking, Scott, what is he talking about? He's out showing PowerPoint presentations to his flowers? What, this guy lost it or what? Maybe my wife is right. I have lost it. But by visual aids, I mean YouTube. YouTube University, you can find any answer about anything that you want just by typing in the search in YouTube. So I can't tell you how many videos I've watched about when to plant my tomatoes and how to prune them and what's the best way to get fruit and all. So use YouTube as a visual aid to help you become a better gardener. And then the last thing is to always have a strong conclusion. And the conclusion is you want your flowers to be beautiful, right? You want to have the best garden in the neighborhood, or you want to see that color, those pops of color in late spring and early summer. So always follow through to conclusion in terms of all the work that goes into having a fruitful garden and having a beautiful flowery garden. So those are the things that over the years I've learned in Toastmasters that I've been able to apply to gardening and to having the yard that I really want. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk about gardening and Toastmasters, two of my favorite things.
Yeah, I love it.
Well, that was just great.
All right, so I'll go ahead and take things over with the news that the people can use, friends. So we are going to kick things off with Bertina. What news can the people use?
Well, the news that the people can use is going to be about Toastmasters International celebrating 100 years, as Althea had already told us, in Anaheim, California, August 14th through the 17th. There are so many things going on there. One, if you go to Toastmasters International and you pull it up, number one, you can even go hybrid. You don't have to be there. You can go hybrid this year. They've got some, I can never say this word, so help me out, gang. Memorabilia. That's going to be available.
Memorabilia.
Yes.
It's what Scott
You just
said.
needed to say it more gregariously, Bertina.
That's right.
We've all got it.
They have a wonderful book that I think I'm going to purchase because I'm definitely not going. But this book gives a history, and it's called The Confident Voices, The Story of Toastmasters. Just reading the topic and seeing what it's about, I thought it's going to be a good book. But they have other things that you can buy, little pens, all kind of little knickknacks, as they would call them, as my mom would say, that you can buy if you cannot go. But if you can go, I think it's going to be a wonderful experience and setting the tone for the next 100 years. And then the highlight of it all is to see who will be this year's Toastmaster International winner. Who's going to give that great speech and just be gregarious, win people over, and give a great speech? So go out, be a part of, however you can be a part of, because I think it's a once in a lifetime thing. That's the news that the people can use.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Bertina. Michael, you have some news to share with our listeners and viewers?
Yes, so I was going to talk about the book that Bertina just mentioned. So I'm going to share my screen here because I already have it pulled up.
Nice. I love how things just kind of just always weave together.
Yeah.
Always just meshing.
It
Yeah,
does.
so I was looking at the exact same book here already. It is a massive book, 400 and something pages, 454 pages, over 500 images.
Wow.
The book itself is available now for pre-order. You can go to Toastmasters website. You can pre-order it for $50, but it looks like a great book. I'm looking forward to getting this book as well. Also, as far as news that people can use, I want to let you know that the June magazine, Toastmasters magazine, is out now. It's available for PDF, or you can view it here online. But I encourage you, make sure you're reading through the magazine on a regular basis. We used to get physical magazines and it was easier for people to read through them. Now you have to be intentional about reading it. So go to the site, click on the link, and read through the magazine and learn more about Toastmasters. Let it help you grow and hit your goals faster. Back to you, Althea.
Thank you so much, Michael. All right, Scott, got some news for the people. Let's hear it.
I do. It is TLI season, folks. And for those of you that are officers, maybe for the first time, or maybe just taking on a different officer role, TLI's Toastmasters Leadership Institute is the time 2 times a year where Toastmasters officers get a chance at some real hands-on direct training on how they can prosper in their role as an officer for your club. So last month, or earlier this month, we had a TLI down in Middletown, which I saw lots of pictures and lots of comments on social media about how great the TLI went down there. Well, if you're from the Columbus area or surrounding area and you didn't get a chance to go to the last one, on July 20th, right here in the CBUS area, mark your calendars, from 9 to 4, we will be having the next TLI, in-person TLI, where everybody can come and interact with their officers from other clubs around the area and district. And I just got this hot off the presses from our elect district director that it'll be held at the Powell United Methodist Church, 825 Olentangy Street in Powell. That's 43065 area code. And when I didn't realize it until a few minutes ago when I was reading that address, but this particular site and this particular address was home to one of the greatest experiences that I've had in Toastmasters in the 13 years that I've been involved. I was a district director, and the first thing that I did, not district director, excuse me, division director for the first time. And the first thing that I did was volunteer to be the TLI coordinator. And this was the year before COVID, it's 2019. And my goal for our group that I got together to plan this event was to host the best TLI ever. And make it as fun as possible, infuse fun into every aspect of it, and just really make it a memorable event. And it turned out it became just like that. I mean, I might be a little biased, but it's the best TLI that I ever attended. And it just so happens that our team did an amazing job. We had a cruise theme. Everybody got laid that went to the event, and we had a photo booth, and we had pictures posted around. We had a entertainment throughout the day. It was really a fantastic event, and I had so much fun with my team planning it. But all the more reason that you should not miss out on an in-person TLI. They're one of the, I remember my first one that I went to. Does anybody remember Carla Clifton? She was around, I mean, I'm old school, but she was she was the TLI coordinator for the first TLI that I ever went to. And I remember looking at her during the day and thinking, I could do that. That's something that I could do. And turns out 10 years later, it was something that I did. Why I waited that long, I don't know, but. So check out 720, get it on your calendars now. Officer training, TLI right here in Powell. More information will be coming out in the distinguished communicator and via email. So, but I wanted to make sure everybody's got that on their calendar, 720. Thank you.
I believe, Scott, that might have been the first TLI I attended. And I remembered, yes, I think, did we have someone was doing like a dance or something there too, didn't they?
Yeah, Hawaiian dance.
Yes, yes, I remember that. Yeah, we had a lot of fun. It was great. I do remember that. All right, I know we're running a little short on time, but I just wanted to take this opportunity to thank my co-hosts. So Michael, Scott, Bertina, I've enjoyed working with you all this year. Thank you so much for being a member of the District 40 podcast. I would truly miss each and every one of you. And I am eternally grateful for you stepping up and representing your respective clubs, your respective divisions, and being the face for that on this podcast. So with that, I just want to thank you guys so much for your service. And as of 6/30/24, you will no longer be podcast co-host. Darn.
Thank you for your stewardship out there.
Yeah, thank you guys. But with that, I'm happy to announce that we have new co-hosts that'll be joining us for the 2024-2025 program year. A quick opportunity to shout those individuals out. So we have from Division E, Angela Norman will be joining the podcast team. From Division A, we have Sydney Osborne. And from Division C, we have Lamar King. So more to come from those individuals. I'm excited to welcome them to the podcast, and we're looking forward to having a great year coming next year. So with that, I'm going to turn things over to Michael to cover the evaluation segment of our podcast.
All right. So I know we were running short on time. I have a short 3-minute presentation for you all to evaluate. So get your pens ready. And let's get this going. I'm going to share my screen here. Make sure audio is set. Perfect. Good job. When I was 8 years old, the unthinkable happened. My grandpa Joe got sick, and they had to amputate his legs below the knee. They took grandpa's legs away, and they gave him 2 heavy, uncomfortable prosthetic legs. Now, because of the pain of the prosthetics, grandpa spent the majority of his day crawling on his knees. Now, that alone would have kept most people in the bed, but not Grandpa Joe. His wife had a stroke, and she was completely paralyzed on the left side of her body. And Grandpa Joe would slowly crawl over to Grandma, and he would patiently feed and care for her, always with a smile on his face. Now, as an 8-year-old watching this, I thought, Grandpa, what are you doing? Stay in bed. Let the nurses care for her. It didn't make sense to me. But Grandpa loved serving others. On nice days, he would crawl over to his chair and he would strap on those 2 heavy prosthetic legs, and I would watch him go from about 4'8.5" to 6 feet tall in a matter of minutes. And to me, that was magical. And he would walk around the community, and we would look for ways to serve others, like checking the mail and delivering newspapers for some of the sick and shut in. Well, one day, Grandpa Joe was chatting with a neighbor about his lawn. Mike, run up to the house and get the mower, and then come back and cut this grass. After I had finished cutting the grass, the neighbor walked up to me and said, little Mike, your grandfather is teaching you well. Then he gave me $5. That was the kind of man my Grandpa Joe was. Several years later, when I was 19 years old and in college, my grandpa made me so proud when he received this medal, the Thomas Jefferson Servant Leadership Award. And I saw it and I thought, wow, why am I not serving more? What's my excuse? And Grandpa Joe looked at me and he said, Mike, you have to make serving others part of who you are. Now, at 19, I didn't get it. But a year later, I found myself sitting on the front row of my Grandpa Joe's funeral, watching person after person come up and share about how Grandpa had served them. And I heard words like caring, patient, and servant leader. And then in the back of my mind, I heard my grandpa's words, Mike, you have to make serving others part of who you are. And I made a decision that day. I said, I will serve others. I will serve others. I will serve others. And I believe that I'm doing that. In 2020, I was recognized as one of the volunteers of the year at my company. In 2021, I received the Maxwell DNA Award, and I was asked to serve on faculty. Thanks to Grandpa Joe, serving others is now part of who I am. Maxwell leaders, let's go out and make serving part of who you are. Thank you. All right.
That speaker looks really familiar, you
Yeah,
guys.
who was that guy?
You know,
Is he the world champion of public speaking, or I don't?
I think
Oh.
so. I don't...
there he is out there in the world, is he not?
Yeah.
Yes.
Awesome. So what feedback do we have for this great speaker?
Yes, bring it on.
Mike, I love the dialogue throughout. One of the things that I read Michael Davis's regular newsletters that he puts out, and he talks a lot about the importance of dialogue and creating emotions and bringing energy to your speech by using dialogue. I love the separate ways that you did it in there. The other thing was the pause. He always talks about the power of the pause, and really all the pros do. And if I had a point to grow for you for this, it would be that the pacing was very fast. I felt like I got 3 minutes. I'm going to tell as much as I can in those 3 minutes and hopefully make a difference. And you did make a difference because your pauses were excellent. When you made points and when you brought stories out, you left enough there for us to marinate on that a little bit. Even though your pacing was quick, there were some great pauses and some great stories that I loved, and the dialogue was great too. The challenge at the end was great too.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah, I think you got a lot of content in 3 minutes. I can already see maybe 3 or 4 different speeches out of that one little 3-minute speech there. I thought for me, the microphone held you back. I wish you had use of both of your hands to like really illustrate him strapping on his legs and just, you getting down or whatever. But for me, that was the only part that I felt was kind of a hindrance in the speech. But I love stories. I envisioned everything you were describing about your grandfather. As you were talking, I was envisioning it. So I thought it was great.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I don't know. I'm sitting here and I'm wondering what really did I see? And I think only you were bent over a lot. And I don't know if that was to envision your grandfather when he was being bent over and illustrating, but when you got to one point where you talked about he put on his
Prosthetic
leg,
legs.
a little bit more of that, because I believe from listening to you, even in his shortness, when he didn't have his legs, he still stood tall. So represent that, even though he didn't have his legs on. Other than that, I love the content. I love the story. That's what I have.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Awesome. Great speech, Michael. Well,
Yes.
friends, guess what? We're at the end of our episode. We did it. We did it. Yay! All right, before I let you guys sign off, do you have any, I see the celebratory hats. Woo woo. Any words of advice for our new co-host that'll be joining us in a couple of weeks?
I'll say have fun. The year's going to go by fast. Just have fun and be prepared. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
Lamar King is an up-and-comer in the district. He is amazing. He's a member of the City of Columbus Toastmasters, my home club. And he will not disappoint. He will be an amazing co-host for the district podcast for sure.
Awesome. Awesome. Bertina, anything?
I agree. Be prepared.
Mm-hmm.
Be prepared. And I think you're going to love it. You're going to enjoy it, and look for the opportunities of growth. Capture them and embrace them. And you're going to go to a whole new level.
Absolutely. All right. You hear that, Lamar, Sydney, Angela, some gems from the pros. So with that, District 40, thank you guys so much for tuning in, and we will catch you on the next episode. Have a good one.
Bye, everybody. Have a great one.
Good night.
Real.